And you've made the right choice to come and hang out with Main Stage Music at our weekly live stream. I'm Brad, this is Jamie.
Whee!
And we are here doing a really super cool thing that honestly there's very few places on the interwebs that you'll be able to see today or tonight or whatever live what you're going to see. All right. So, what we are talking about today,
Arguably.
well, we can argue. That's what the, internet's all
That's
about.
what people
right?
like. That's what
like
gets the
argument.
ratings up.
We are talking about Fuzz.
Fuzzy.
And what we are, Fuzz is the actual, one of the very first effects ever made. I would argue that the very first effect ever made was tremolo, but...
Touching the tape wheel?
Well, no, that's flanging. But tremolo was the very first effect that had its own little separate box with the D'Armond tremolo unit. But
Cool.
The first popular effector was the Fuzz box, okay? And it came out in the early 60s. And I'll tell you, I don't want to sit here and pretend like I'm an expert. If you want that, you go over to the JHS channel and watch Josh Scott, who can tell you everything. He even made a musical about it.
Yeah, well, and he went over with the pedal guys show, like the pedal show guys, who went to Mercari's and the whole
Oh,
thing.
I know.
So
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Plenty of Fuzz data out there. There's been a real resurgence lately. But there's been Fuzz holdouts this whole while. If y'all are the guys out there that are those forever Fuzz. You were Fuzz when Fuzz wasn't cool.
And let me tell you something about Fuzz. Fuzz is arguably one of the most versatile effects. Although people associate Fuzz oftentimes with the psychedelic late 60s, with bands like Cream, and of course Jimi Hendrix pretty much made the Fuzz what it is. The Fuzz originally was designed to be more of like this pedal does everything. It's almost like it was sold by Ronco or something like that, right? Right along with the Pocket Fisherman.
Yeah,
and,
like early on synthesizers and everything else were supposed to use the keyboard to make other like trombone and violin sounds, and the same thing with the Fuzz. It was marketed to do like
they even had
sounds that weren't the guitar.
Yeah, I was like looking at one of the original. They actually used to send to music stores these little 45 records in the early 60s that would tell you all the tones you could get with a Fuzz pedal. Now, again, this is before Hendrix, before Cream. They were like, you can play a cello, and they would have the Fuzz set to a certain way, and you could make it sound like a trumpet or a saxophone.
Roll your tone with.
And they would...
That's rolling the tone off.
Yeah.
What do y'all think that sounds
Yeah,
like?
sounds kind of trumpety to me, right? But that being said, the Fuzz has really taken on an identity of its own throughout the years. You hear terms nowadays like, it's got a Velcro Fuzz. Mm-hmm. And what they're referring to is a literary term, onomatopoeia, okay? Where the sound of Velcro, this kind of unbridled, is on some pedals the Fuzz tone, and others are a creamier, more sustaining Fuzz. So I thought what we would talk about today is some of the rarest and coolest iconic Fuzz pedals.
Well, just real
ever
quick,
known.
what prompted the show?
So here's what prompted the show. Garson, if you would, this right here, hey, there you go,
There we go.
is all the rage and all the talk on all the internet forums. This is the Boss Wazacraft Tone Bender, the TB-2W. Take a good look, ladies and gentlemen, because this is as far as a lot of y'all will ever get to seeing one of these bad boys. They are made from old components. We're talking 55, 60-year-old components that the people at Boss, who have fairly deep pockets, managed to source, I want to say something like 10,000 original transistors that were manufactured back in the 1960s. But a lot of these old components are very, what do you want to say, unreliable. So after they sorted through them, because again, Boss is known for their quality.
Well, germanium in particular is temperature intolerant. So some of them operate outside of parameters that you'd want to use in a circuit and expect to have the same result. So they're wildly variable, right?
So I mean, the issue is that it sounds like, whoa, 10,000. In the grand scheme of things, 10,000 is just a drop in the bucket of how many people would really want one of these tone bender pedals. And so even if they could make 10,000, but we're getting estimates that there are probably less than 1,000 of these total. Mm-hmm. Now, to put that in perspective, I heard that there are something in the neighborhood of like 2,000 Boss dealers in the United States alone. That's enough on that camera angle, but thanks. And so that being said, and each one of those Boss dealers has arguably thousands of customers, and hundreds of those probably want one of these. But they took a risk, okay, and they made them, and there's less than 1,000 of these worldwide. So the way they distributed them is dealers who were really into the Waza line, which Waza's their custom shop. Okay, let's call it what it is. Very cool pedals, but for, let's say, relatively limited interest. But the limited interest is the cool interest. Yeah, okay. Right. So for the dealers that really supported the Waza line from the beginning, they were allotted a very small allocation depending on the needs. Okay. Well, Mainstage Music has been a huge proponent and fan of the Waza stuff from the beginning. And so little old Mainstage Music was allotted 4 of these pedals, which is pretty wild. And it's one of only 2 dealers in the entire state of Tennessee, from what I understand, could be wrong, I'm just saying, that even received any of them. So it's a pretty big deal. Now, from when we got the news that these things were coming our way, the internet has gone absolutely bonkers. Everybody wants one. This is kind of like, being the third monkey when they're fixing, on Noah's Ark, right? He's like, let me on. I mean, they're like, everybody wants these things, but they know, man, there's not going to be enough for everybody. So people are going nuts.
I've never heard the monkey ark analogy.
The third monkey,
Third monkey.
So, I mean, that being said, it's like the Gear Page, and I mean, you name the forum that geeks out about this kind of stuff. Yeah. People have turned from excitement to rage.
Yeah. It's full Karen mode.
Oh man, it's bad. And again, here's the thing.
There's actually, I mean, it won't materialize, but like people talk about class action lawsuit against dealers who are not following the exact prescriptive dealer agreement that they have to distribute these pedals, the one of them they got.
Yeah.
If they didn't follow the exact rules under Roland USA, they want to sue them because everybody's so upset about it.
So, I mean, now again, why do people get angry about things like this? Because they love it. And we fight and we claw about things that we love and are passionate about. And let me tell you something. There is nothing to not love about this pedal, okay? This thing is incredible. We plugged it in at the shop when they arrived and had like a little crowd of people that were completely digging on it. And you've had it for the better part of a week now. What do you think? I mean, I can see some wear. Have you had a chance to really kind of dig into it a little bit more? And
not really. It's a circuit that like there are. All the sounds are usable, unlike some fuzzes I've had experience with. So, but generally there's the low, real gritty, barely broke up sound. There's the wide open, high gain sound. And then there's somewhere in between where you use a little more volume knob. This circuit doesn't clean up the same way as like the Fuzz Face or the Sun Face does.
So
but that's fine. And I really like the fact that it does exactly what I hoped it would do. The buffer doesn't materially affect the tone as best I can tell. It doesn't get affected by what it's going into, which is fantastic. No weird impedance or buffering. I'm just using the battery, and it sounds awesome.
It's pretty crazy awesome.
Sounds awesome.
Now, you might notice this really obnoxious buzzing and crunching sound in the background. You hear that? So what we thought we would do today is we would bring some extremely rare fuzzes from throughout the years from my personal collection. These aren't for sale. that I wanted to show you, kind of to show the evolution of the Fuzz. Now, obviously, if we showed the real evolution of the Fuzz, it'd start with the Fuzz tone that was released through the Maestro/Gibson line. You guys, there's a million places to hear that pedal.
Yeah, it's like 4 or 5 things that stacked all up on top of
Yeah,
each other,
it's,
right? In like a 3-year period.
And I used to. I got rid of it. Stupid. That was before. That was back when I used to sell my stuff. Now I don't. I don't do that anymore. But I used to have an original Vox tone bender. What this is modeled after. And then another classic is the Fuzz face. The Fuzz face is always mentioned when you're talking about influential early fuzzes. Now, the Fuzz face that Jimi Hendrix played at Woodstock, okay, was made by the Dallas Arbiter Company in England, okay? The shape, of course, is the iconic round shape, which, I've got one right here. And you can see it's got this cool happy face, okay?
Yeah, smiley man.
There we go. And so that's the
Hey.
Fuzz face. Now, this was modeled after the bottom of a mic stand. He just thought, hey, what a cool idea.
Right.
So they effectively molded it. Now, this particular Fuzz face, for the astute follower, they might look and go, wait a minute, look at how thick that thing is. All right? It's kind of like what my wife says when she sees me. But that being said, this particular model is arguably the rarest variant of the Fuzz face that there has ever been.
Tell us why, Brad.
Okay, so in the 1960s, everybody wanted to have a Fuzz face. After the Summer of Love and Jimi Hendrix and blah, 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 everybody wanted a Fuzz face. And so they started off with the red one, which was a germanium transistor. And by the way, I know that if my friend Josh Smith is watching, who's the JHS, he's going to sit there and go, well, actually. So I'm going to stay away from, but it started off as a germanium transistor and then moved to, in the 1970s, what's called a BC 108.
Yeah.
Okay? Slightly different tone, but very still similar to the style. So, but by the mid-1970s, the popularity of that 60s psychedelic Fuzz tone had kind of given way, and there had been other models, which we'll talk about, Fuzz that has come out. So this one, with the thicker body style, and if you look carefully on there, it's not labeled Dallas Arbiter. You can go back to the camera angle. Oh, there we go. It's simply labeled Dallas Manufacturing, okay? This was the last variant of the Fuzz face before the reissues. It only came out 1 year, and that was we'll say the 76, 77 year model. And so arguably, this is the very last Fuzz face of the original run. There were, not very many of these made, and arguably, you probably haven't ever seen another one. This pretty much went out by the early 80s when it was bought by a famous company, Crest Audio. Crest makes some really high-end consoles and power amps. Well, Crest Audio is what this turned into. And
Really?
the very first reissues of the Fuzz
I like
face.
learning stuff on
Yeah.
the show that I'm supposed to be participating in giving information to.
So really, there were some guys that worked at Crest making power amps and mixers, and they found these old Fuzz faces, and they're like, what's this? Oh, yeah, we used to make those in like 75, 76. Really? So they found some of them, remade them, and the very first reissues were born, and they were made, in the mid-'80s, and from the mid-'80s before Dunlop bought them in the early '90s, they said that less than 2,000 were made. So if you guys have one of those 85 to 90 model Fuzz faces, give your old fat friend here in Dayton a call, because I would be interested in having one of those. But that being said, the way we have it set up, we've got the volume kind of matched. The amplifier that we're using, we got it from my buddy Chris, Deluxe Amplification in Dayton, Tennessee. Yeah, I've got the t-shirt.
Deluxe
And
indeed.
here's a cool thing to note. See this t-shirt?
I do see that T-shirt.
This amplifier
I see that amplifier. It's
is
not
mine.
It's not shaped like a normal amplifier.
It isn't. This is the Elroy amplifier, which I had a part in helping create.
Yay.
So, and the
Yay.
prototype is at my house right now. And we got to do another episode about the crazy, stupid things that I have helped come up with that I now clutter my house with. And I get yelled at from my wife every time her sister comes into town, and she goes around kicking my stuff going, look at all your stuff in the way, And something.
Not like strange hooks and like wire, like clothes hanger assemblies and like.
Oh,
weird...
no. This is all very cool stuff. I'm addicted to cool,
you.
as you can't tell from my awesome T-shirt. So anyways, the amplifier we're using is made by Deluxe Amplification. It is a, go ahead, cameraman. Nope. There we go.
There it is.
This is handmade by Deluxe. It is called the number 9. It is a 9-watt, effectively hyper tweed amplifier.
And the speaker baffle is made of specific pieces of walnut, and we have searched each of the 12 laminate pieces, and you can see mic'd it to the far left-hand side of the microphone.
And the microphone, of course, our sponsor, Shure Microphones. We have got a Shure SM57, which is, love it or not, the most used microphone of all time for instrument miking. So that being said, that's what we're running through. So just pedal, guitar, pedal, amp. So this is the original. This is the Fuzz Face 1976. Go on, Jamie. You can hear this noisy, amazing thing. And it has the 108 transistors in it, like the 1970s models did. I'm running, by the way, this is a point, just so you guys know, I am using, I guess, what you'd call high-watt batteries. I put all fresh batteries in this.
Alkalins.
Yeah, when you get into the
Alkaline
fuzz,
batteries.
the world of fuzz, people can be very opinionated on everything, including the batteries. So I just got some good old Rayovac high-watt style batteries, and that's what I'm running in these. All right, now what we're going to do...
You can actually buy period-correct batteries from your buddy here at Electro Harmonics.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So now, as long as we're talking the 1970s, this right here is oh, that's fine. This right here was designed by our friend Mike Matthews at Electro Harmonics. This pedal came out in the late 60s, early 70s. It was called the Big Muff Pie. Okay? For some reason, some people are offended at that, so they just use the term.
It's all mathematical reasons.
Yeah, they just use the Big Muff. Okay? Now, the Big Muff is your classic fuzz pedal. It really was designed to kind of go right up against the Fuzz Face. Came out at the same time. But it has a very unique tone onto itself. Now, here's a cool thing about this one. I bought this one locally. For people who know me, they know that, yeah, I like old stuff, but I also like local stuff. I like to think, man, where did this thing, live its life?
How did this thing make it here?
Exactly. Now, here's what's cool. This one right here, if you look at the back, I need to start doing these for main stage. What do you guys think? You'd probably be mad at me if I did. It had a sticker of where it came from.
Oh, wow. Check that out.
Hughley's Music Shop.
Where's that cat?
Well, it says right here that it is Nashville and Madison. Now, I come from Wisconsin, so I know there's no way that they were selling Big Muffs in liberal Wisconsin. But, I mean, so it has to be, is it got to be Madison, Tennessee? Madison Square Shopping Center. So, is there a Madison, Tennessee? I know there's a Madison, Alabama outside of the Huntsville area.
Yeah, I ain't been there. Let's say it's Alabama.
So here's what we're going to do, just so you guys don't get mad at me.
Mr. Hughley.
We are going to plug this in, but because I'm low tech, I'm just going to unplug this. So don't be mad when you hear a click and pop.
It is in Madison, Tennessee, and it's outside of Nashville.
Oh, so it's 2 Nashville area stores. All right, so we're going to go amplifier, guitar, and now Big Muff time. Okay. It's real.
That's what it's supposed to sound like.
going to bring the fuzz, or what they call it, sustain, down a little bit. This is down to nothing. This is no fuzz right here. Yeah, so you can hear an audible bass boost, and I've got the tone set at just halfway, okay?
Yeah, that's bridge pickup, everything up.
Yeah, so that's off. So even with nothing on, it provides a pretty awesome, little bass booster there. So I'm going to start creeping up that 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock. 3 o'clock. Here we go. Full on. Now, you can see why the fuzz face and the big muff are both like icons.
Yeah, but there ain't a whole lot of on that one. It's like, oh, you want the pedal on? Yeah, let's go ahead and turn the pedal on.
Well, an odd thing, they actually have an on-off switch. That's why it didn't work originally. I just didn't have the on switch on. Seems like a redundancy that they could just kind of do away
Why would
with.
that be? Like to put it in like an old rack and have it wired in and switched?
If you know, please comment.
Put it on a relay, baby.
Now, it's his pickups, by the way. He's playing a 1958 reissue custom shop Les Paul, and it sounded to me like you were using the neck pickup. Is that correct?
Well,
Or using both?
Started bridge, went neck, and then went in the middle, and I was kind of balancing volume.
Okay, so he's kind of bouncing around there.
But these are just the stock.
And by the way, thanks, Greg, for watching.
Custom
And thanks
Buckers.
for all y'all who are watching. We do answer our comments live on the air, so anything that you have questions about or concerns or so on, feel free to chime in. I've got my little phone right here ready to answer your questions. But yes, I really like this. I like the other one too. But here's another thing. Where's the noise and crackling and stuff?
Well, yeah, I think.
Yeah, they kind of figured that out a little bit better. It's the same year model.
Yeah, you could probably service that one some. You might have like
maybe there's a little
cap
something.
releasing or something.
Something going on.
Or a little shieldy something or other.
Okay, moving right along. So in the 1970s, Fender, not to be outdone, did not want to be left in the dust. So Fender came out with their version of a fuzz pedal as well. Okay?
Oh, Fender.
Oh, Fender. And it is called, or was called, the Fender Blender.
I love these. I love the large format pedals.
I do too.
It's
Honestly, it feels like you bought something.
All you need on the floor. We know you were playing straight into your
And this is
amp.
like the size of your like Helix H Stomp or whatever, But it's got one purpose, and that is to make awesome fuzzy sounds for you and your fans. You can see that it's very straightforward. You have the volume, the sustain and tone. Sustain, by the way, is what they called fuzz back in the early 70s, late 60s. And then blend. That's kind of an interesting thing.
You can put some dry back in there?
Well, let's play with it and see, okay? So you can see here you've got tone boost and then the on-off function. So here we go. Ready for the pop, folks? All right. Ooh. I'm hearing noise. Okay, first let's normalize our volume. Blend, yeah. So if you guys are familiar with pedals, you had the the Sparkle Drive by Voodoo Lab, and it was the first pedal I was familiar with that had the clean blend. So it was an overdrive pedal, very TS based.
Yeah, some of the barber pedals like that had some
And you can
drop
blend the
in,
clean. And so what they've got here is a blend. So this is pure clean.
They
and
claim that's why you didn't know that Strymon sounded so good, because they kept a true bypass dry through to put the effects against. A lot of the Strymon stuff has like some dry stuff coming out, and you're like, oh, it sounds just like my tone, but just a little better. And it's like, yeah, it's because they're just piping that mess straight through there.
So this is the clean blend. So then if I turn it all the way, so modern pedals, they would call, they'd use the term wet and dry. So this is your dry sound, and then this would be your wet. This,
There, hold on.
that's at 1. That is at 1.
See, it's got that little cool ring modulation.
Oh, yeah.
I like that. I hadn't had a Fuzz pedal for a long time, but like, so there's so many people. I'm such a newbie, but man, this is all everything to a Fuzz, because it's well.
And what he's talking about is the volume and tone controlling your guitar. Now, also, just to let you know, JC Walker, who, by the way, is one of the baddest guitar players in our area.
Yeah, where's
JC.
that guy, man?
Well, you know JC. He's
I know,
been
but why ain't he doing this?
because he's a bum and he won't come on my show.
Oh, why won't he?
I'm calling you out, JC. You get down here and you do a show with us. But JC is a phenomenal guitar player, one of the best in our area, and a heck of a Fuzz aficionado as well. And so he said, I love Fuzz. Great show. Give a Waza tone bender away and you'll make the news. Yeah, it'll read something like local idiot, incites riot, will be in prison for the next 12 years. 4 people die, terrible blood and shed and bad stuff.
I'm sorry, I keep playing over you talking, but it's got that little spitty thing.
Now, just to let you know, go ahead and zoom in real quick. Look at where the Fuzz is set at. 1. See where it says sustain? So that is the 1. That's the lowest setting on this pedal. And yeah, let's hear that crazy. So now I'm going to start creeping it up.
My volume sounds a bit too.
Go ahead and crank it. Dude, it sounds like a synthesizer. My friend Tom Baggett would call pepper pudding. Honey?
What? Lord have mercy.
Where's Tom these days, man?
All of these references.
Oh, man, he's a great guy. Phenomenal player.
That thing's fun, man.
Dude, I mean, the tone
Is there
bend.
anything like that?
The
What-
Fender Blender, they reissued this, I want to say, like 20 years ago. And I think the reissues sell for $300 if you can. I don't know. You have to go check
It's
me
still
on that
fun,
one.
man. That's cool. That's
So
really cool.
this one was made in 1974, back when artists such as Jonathan Edwards were charming us with his song "Sunshine Go Away Today," and they make killer fuzz pedals like this, right?
We did a fake sitar sound.
Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, we could. Now, I wanted to share with you another vintage one. This might be the rarest pedal you've never seen, okay? This one is manufactured by Milos. I have no idea who Milos is, but I do know that they were directly trying to rip off Fender. They called it Fuzzder. Fuzzder. So this is the solid state Fuzzder model FS1. Okay. Milos Electronics Company Limited.
Good for you, Milos.
Made in
I
Japan.
hope you're on a yacht somewhere with a model.
Now, here's what I think is really cool about this. I have never seen this before, and maybe you have too. I've removed the back of this. Okay, full disclosure. When I bought this pedal, it didn't have a back. Okay, I manufactured one. But here's what's really cool about this pedal. Have you ever seen a pedal that runs on a single AA battery?
Are you kidding?
How cool is that?
What, is that so that's 1.5 volts? That's
Yeah.
right. Isn't
So-
a AA 1.5?
So the point is that all these other pedals are running on 9 volts. This pedal was designed to run on 1.5 volts. I've never seen that before. All right. And you haven't either, right? You have 2 simple controls on the back. Okay, volume and fuzz. I like that. See, all the rest of them were. Oh, here you go. Oh, yeah, you're fine. So 2 volumes, and you can see right here on the front it says, volume and fuzz. For people who know me, I like weird stuff. So this right here, when I saw a 1960s or early 70s Fender knockoff fuzz pedal,
I got to have
wild
it.
horses
I got
couldn't
to
keep
have
me
it.
away, you know? So let's go ahead and hear what this thing sounds like. So into the instrument, out.
Yes, you traded Dan Electro Daddy-O for it.
No. Now here's an interesting thing about this pedal. Oh, it's old. It has an on-off switch in the switch.
Nice.
So first let's normalize the sound. Okay, volume. Where's your clean volume?
Oh.
Yeah.
Different when you move it around.
So that's fuzz at 0. It almost reduces the volume when I click it on.
Yeah. Well,
But
Big Muffs kind of do that if you don't watch it.
Yeah.
Big Muffs, you get like what you think's a good fat sound, but it's smushed down so much that you don't realize when you go to a solo. I mean, you got to carry that whole compressed signal way higher to get it out there.
Help me.
Hey, anybody, like, how's this translating? So, like, Fuzz sounds like Fuzz, but if your iPhone is exploding, that might sound like Fuzz too. So, I mean, can you actually hear?
First of all,
what
thank
Fuzz
you
sounds
for
like?
all the guys that are watching. Nice viewership. Ripcord McCord. There's no way that's got to be a proxy account.
You clever fella, you.
He forgot to change his logo back from when he trolls people on Chattanooga Times Free Press page. But anyways, he said the Maestro Fuzz is powered with a AA battery.
Is it really?
I don't own one, so I mean.
Thanks, Ripcord.
Thank you, Ripcord.
Your name suggests you're a totally credible source, and we'll definitely believe what you say.
But I appreciate the heads up. And if you've got a extra Maestro laying around in any condition, even without
bring
a back
that Maestro on up here, and we'll check it out.
I'm all about it. Okay, JC, chime back in. Okay, yeah, Strymon's always analog drive-through. Never seen a Fuzz like that, though. Very cool. I haven't either. Would love to play some of these. You call me Brad. I'm not the bum.
Did you call him a bum?
Yes, you
Yeah, I called him a bum.
Oh, well, then you don't deserve.
No, because
You don't deserve good guitar players on here.
Because he needs to come down here and do a show. So, JC, know that I'm calling you, and you're going to come down here and do a show with us. Okay, Jerry Okerson, who, by the way, he lived during these times. And he's got the ponytail and the frisbee to prove it.
The times when you were bartering awesome stuff away from
No,
local
like
people?
he was there, man. You know?
Oh, like he was like there.
Yeah, he
was
wanted
like
to
there,
see,
man.
you know, was Dave here, man? Dave who, you know? So Jerry is the man. And Jerry said the best fuzz sound, in my humble opinion, Rickenbacker TS100 Fuzzstortion found on the custom channel. Straight out of the box.
I wonder what it was.
TS100. Is that an amp? I think it is.
A Rickenbacker?
Yeah, Rickenbacker made a really expensive amplifier back in the day.
Well,
but if it's a pedal, I don't think I've ever seen one of those.
What were you thinking, Rickenbacker?
He said, think Jimmy Page. And I know that Jimmy did play the Rickenbacker amplifier.
What did he say? Which one?
TS100.
TS100. Let's see about that.
But okay, while he's talking, while he's looking that up, I'm going to introduce you now to somewhat of the modern age. Am I right?
Freaking belt! Look at that freaking thing, man.
The big. Oh yeah. No, that's what I thought it was, and it's actually in kind of a cool.
I don't know if y'all. Yeah,
trapezoidal shape amplifier.
It's a weird shaped little.
Those
fella
are
there.
insanely rare and valuable amps, and the fact that Jerry actually played one.
And is comparing it to your show.
Impressive.
And remembers it as being preferable to anything that we've done
I told you guys, Jerry is the man. And Jerry owns a one-of-a-kind amplifier.
Does he?
It is a Marshall Okertone. And no, so Jerry is one of my very good friends. And Jerry actually helped build this studio that we're here working in, right? And so he had an old Marshall, like, valve state or something like that. He goes, hey, can you get this fixed? And I'm kind of like, yeah, I'll throw it out for you. But I mean, the point was, so what I did was, because Jerry is such an awesome friend of mine and such a great help and just phenomenal human being, I took it to, again, third plug today, my friend Chris at Deluxe Amplification. And I said, Chris, put your amp in this cabinet. And so Chris did a phenomenal job. He effectively took this Marshall valve state and put a 18-watt hand-wired circuit in this box.
How many people in Ray County have a Marshall valve state repaired that's got a real 18-watt plex in it?
One.
Oh.
And
because that would be awesome if that's some racket that y'all had.
It's
like,
badass. And then,
I don't know what them guys do, but this
so
thing
then
sounds,
on top of that, to
like
just
blues
really
breaker.
top it off, Chris made a custom silk screen and relabeled the amplifier, instead of valve tone, the ochre tone. Right on it looks completely factory, and it is amazing. And so Jerry has you know, so Jerry has a one-of-a-kind ochre tone.
That's pretty
Marshall
awesome.
is awesome. Okay, now that being said, let's move on to the modern era when it comes to to overdrive pedals, because you guys have been able to hear now stuff that the vast majority of humankind has never seen, much less heard or played, for that matter. You've seen a Milos Fuzzder. You've seen a Fuzz face made in the 1 year that they were thick and weird. You've played an original Big Muff from 1977, the same year that this fuzzy face guy right here.
Oh.
See? They should call it the Brad, because I'm a fuzzy face. And you know what? What do you think, guys?
You probably were a fuzzy face in 77.
See, I think it's like, I know what they modeled this after. Plus, you want to stomp on it, you know? At least my wife does. That's like the third wife joke tonight, too. It's not a wife joke. It's a husband joke where the wife is the wife, you know?
Yeah, and all the wife laughs sound like obligatory wife laughs at this point.
Okay, so here's a neat fuzz that I had never seen another one of. This one is made by G.S. Wiley in 2003. It's hand serialized number 50. And this is simply called the Moon Rock. Whoops. And I saw this and I said, dude, just the fact that it is this heavy, cool zinc casing.
Some weird cast enclosure.
We have come for your women and cows and whatever else kind of delicious thing you have here. So the Moon Rock is this very hip, very Spartan fuzz pedal. I haven't seen another one. It's engraved by the guy, G.S. Willie, number 50, 2003. So let's try the Moon Rock.
If you say so.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Which one is the instrument in? Uh-oh.
I'm going to assume
guess-
you go in from the right, huh?
Let's find out.
You guessed right, buddy.
All right. So that's volume. Is what?
I don't know if y'all hear that. It's like a delayed response.
It's like a slow gear.
Well, it's like it's gating and then letting go.
Yeah, like a boss slow gear. And as I bring it up, Dude.
Cool.
See, when I see things that are neat, I'm like, okay.
You played that exact lick, and you're like, I'll take it, I
I'll
guess.
take it. The moon rock. So if you've seen another one and know anything about it, let me know.
I have no idea what that is.
I just thought it was really cool. And actually, it's neat. So it's written on the back. But
Are you
it's
sure
also,
it's like some high school punk kids like
were you a
home
high
ec
school punk
project?
kid?
Did y'all have a tin or zinc casting apparatus
Perhaps.
that you made a sand mold and made a fuzz pedal out of?
I think they did it at Macaulay or Baylor.
Yeah, but it wouldn't
This
be as
seems
cool
like
if
a-
they did it because it's like you'd expect it. It's like,
Exactly.
well, in the metallurgical laboratory, of course. we could do it. Yeah.
Fuzz pedals called the moon rock. But 2003, they're very cool. GS Wiley. Pretty neat. Have you guys ever seen one of
That's
these?
definitely a high school kid's name.
I just, I thought, I was looking through my collection of stuff, which Jamie has seen, and I have to tell you, it is amazingly displayed in two big boxes where you have to root through them like a kid digging through his Legos.
I think you can honestly say that no one else displays their gear like that. No one has that display apparatus that you have.
Which is two boxes in the back of my thing with just crap laden in it. And I've had one guy who walked in and saw me.
It was
dig-
commodity butter boxes, right?
This one guy is like digging through. I said, he goes, "Hey man, have you ever heard of the King of Tone?" I'm like, "Oh yeah." Is this it?
I've been on the list for 4 years to get one.
Dude.
Oh, this thing, rumble, 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 blah.
Hey, I mean, I have a good time with it, and obviously we're sharing it, so I can't be accused of being a hoarder.
Yeah.
Because the difference between a hoard and a collection is how it's shared. And see, we're sharing it with you guys, so it's no longer a hoard.
It's a little hoardy though, right?
It's not really, because there's no dead cats inside of it yet.
If that's your frickin' line, man, I guess you'll be safe.
All right, so
Congrats.
So the next on our list is a modern pedal. Okay, this one is made by Jim Dunlop,
Oh, that's a good one.
and this is the Jimi Hendrix Fuzz Face.
There's a famous guitar player in Crossville, Tennessee that likes this fuzz the most, and he is not a fuzz fan.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Now this one's from my personal stash. It's authentic Hendrix. See, one thing to note is that there's a lot of people who put Jimi Hendrix on something, but if it doesn't have the authentic Hendrix logo before, let's say, the 90s or something like that, it's not really authorized through the Hendrix estate.
Never even heard such a thing.
Yeah, I mean, back in the day, everything it was kind of the Wild West. So here we go again.
So
Pop and
which one
click.
is this germanium or silicon?
This will be the germanium
Okay.
model. So this would be a NKT 275.
Cool.
So you only have to really remember
108 and 275.
108 and 275. And we're using a power supply on this one, not a battery. I just didn't have time to put batteries on each one. So here's our volume. Match our volume. Well, now I have the fuzz completely turned off there, and guess what? Unlike the other old ones, there's no fuzz. Just barely any. They shouldn't call that a fuzz. They should call that the 5 o'clock shadow.
One thing you haven't mentioned yet, turn it up.
one thing I'll definitely say about that.
gain.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of gain. There's a lot of nuance. You know, really, as you sweep the fuzz, unlike some of the ones that we've been messing with, there's a lot of nuance with this modern fuzz than with the ones that we've played with. I mean, some we were turning it off.
Yeah.
You're like, there's fuzz there, you know?
All right.
But again, you got to remember guys like Jim Dunlop Corporation, which my friend Joey Osisic is the product manager and so on.
And
there.
J.C.
Great
Wilder,
guy.
of course.
J.C. Walker plays one. I mean, it's, G.S. Wiley.
G.S. Wiley, of course.
But I mean,
famed pedal maker.
Yeah, so famous. I've never heard of him. But I mean, that being said, it's like these modern manufacturers. This pedal is only like $129. Now, I don't want to alarm some of you, but this pedal and a lot of these pedals are trading for upwards of, let's just say, thousands of dollars. Not to alarm you. I don't view that as such. I view them as tools. But other people in the collectible market view these as investments like Bitcoin, right? And so they drive them to insane prices. But these right here are only for about 100 and change and give you an amazing versatility and very usable tones and so on. They're incredible. A really excellent value
Well, there's been
for
some
not a whole
other-
lot of money.
There's been other painted versions of that pedal, though, that are...
Oh yeah, this
jacked
is
on
true.
up in price.
That's true. And see, this one right here is retired already, and so I'm sure to some guy that's looking for retired pedals, this one's probably worth more than what it sold for. But the circuit inside is really unchanged.
Same.
It's the same circuit. They're very usable. You guys can get amazing tones and a very versatile tone for not a whole lot of money. The last one here, I guess I could plug in, but I didn't put a battery in it, and it doesn't have any other
I bet
way.
the battery's fine.
You think the battery's fine?
Yeah,
All right.
you don't
So-
play it enough to wear it out.
This is true.
And it's such a simple circuit. Fuzz batteries go for, unless you're gigging like every weekend, it should be good for good 4 months.
So
6
one
months.
of Jamie and I's favorite pedal companies is Analog Man. And Analog Man is just a dude, okay? But he's a dude who I swear is a scholar in his field.
He's
He
one of
loves
the
this stuff.
Yeah, he just seems like a really cool
Yes.
online dude.
Just a very cool guy.
Just get the impression he's a cool
He wrote a book. I bought it, so I might be one of 12 guys that bought his book. I don't know, but even the way he writes his books are very not, just straightforward and
Are
so on.
you going the right way on that one?
JC commented again.
Is this the way? Okay.
Oh yeah, I think so. I don't think it's that good.
This is why. So here's the non-fuzz, and here is the fuzz. That's awesome.
I like that.
That's awesome. So,
that one a whole bunch.
Analog Man, there's nothing not to like about Analog Man, except this. He's a guy who doesn't seem to care that much about making money. He just cares about making really cool stuff. So he just makes as many pedals as he needs to pay his mortgage or whatever it is.
I don't know how wealthy the guy is, but I hope that he is like extremely wealthy. He's like the simplest economic description of make something good that people want, do it with consistency, you will have high demand and make profits.
So, I mean, he makes some very cool circuits. They're based on things that we like.
Well, it's based on this, right?
Well, I mean, yeah.
Sun face, fuzz face.
And NKT, so that would be like a late 60s version of that fuzz face. But it's swollen, it's fun, there's little nuances. There's a third knob there.
He added a bias.
But that being said, it sounds cool, it sounds fun, and it's very well built. These are what, a couple $100, $200-$300?
Yeah, that one's like $215 with the bias knob.
But you've got to wait for it. So
sometimes.
Yes, the problem with Analog Man stuff, and this isn't a problem, because hey, you've all driven to a restaurant that takes you an hour and a half to get to, and it's amazing, right? So Analog Man's the kind of guy where you buy something, you put your name in a queue, and then you might wait a couple of years to get some of his items. Okay?
Yeah, 4 years for King of Tone, way under a few months for Prince of Tone. You can get these. They build stock sun faces all the time. It's only when you add custom features that it starts like possibly delaying. And like both of the ones I bought came in within 2 weeks.
That's awesome. So Analog Man, cool stuff. I wish I could be an Analog Man dealer. I don't know. Maybe you can. But I don't know if enough people, you guys, would come in and buy a $200-$300 fuzz pedal. I know that for a couple $100 tops, most of the time usually $100, okay, you can take your tone and change it. Okay, you don't have to buy a new guitar, you don't have to buy new pickups, amp, none of that stuff. You can buy something like a pedal and it completely give you a different sound. And that's what we're trying to show you. This is just one effect, fuzz. And you can hear how
you're only
broad
using it in one amp.
Yeah,
it
in one guitar.
Yeah, it behaves some ways in Fender Twins, and it behaves entirely different ways in JCM 800s.
Well, as JC said, dude, that moon rock, holy crap, that auto swell thing Jamie had going.
Come play it, man.
I need one.
Yeah, come play it.
I shouldn't
it's
have watched this show. Yes, you should have. And by the way, I would love for you guys to subscribe to us on YouTube if you're not already doing that. And also Facebook and so on.
He can probably get pretty close to that sound with like one of those fuzz factories, though.
Yeah, I mean, any of the number of pedals that we should. So, long story short, we want to thank you guys so much for watching.
You're not gonna plug the tone bender in? I'll play out on the tone bender.
Do you guys want to play? You want to hear the tone bender?
Yeah, please plug in the tone bender. We like that pedal.
So that's the one pedal we hadn't played, right? And it's the first one we talked about. So here is the only place you can actually play a tone bender, right here, right now. So let's plug it in, and we'll play it. Jamie will play us out on the. These right now are trading for over $2,000.
It's nuts. They won't stay there.
They'll be $5,000, right?
Do y'all hear the $2,000 in there?